Everybody go into all messages or live chat. Let me know if you can hear me. A 5x5 would be nice. Can you hear me? Yes, no, maybe so. Let's see what's going on here. I don't see anything happening at all. Messages, that's correct. Hello. Dan H. Share Bear. Well, I'd have to make some kids first, Dan H says. Afterwards, yes, because they would know what I know. About KP Heathen, greetings from Louisiana. Hey, can I get a 5x5? Can y'all hear me at all? Can you hear me? Trying something different today? Perfect. I got my earbuds in. Can y'all hear any background noise? Hello, Moon Sprout. Chair Bear. Hello, darling. Can y'all hear any background noise like the air conditioner or anything like that? Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, y'all. So, wow, what's up? What's up, what's up? We're going to let everybody get in here a little bit. You know, this is something now. This is, and see, Dan H made a perfectly good point. He's got to have kids first, and then they'll know everything that he knows. But we're talking about children here. We're talking about children. They don't have the adult mentality on a lot of things and the gut instincts. And what brought me to this topic was I was watching some cheesy, YouTube movies on apocalypse and all that kind of shit. And the movie that caught me on this was, and it's on YouTube, and it was EMP 333 days. And it was about a dad, and he was a prepper survivalist. And throughout the years, he had dropped these little hints here and there to his daughter. And, teaching her. And she's like, I don't need to do this. What is this for? I'm never going to have to do this, that, and the other. Well, just these little touches here and there. And the plot of it was that these two kids, they ended up coming together. This one kid, he lost both of his parents, and he didn't have half of the survival skills that the one girl had. And they was like 14, 15 years old type kids, and I'm thinking even younger kids. And their grandparents were dead, their parents were dead, all the adults that they would normally rely on had died or been killed in some form or fashion behind this EMP thing, right? And so some of the things that I spotted in this movie were really hard fucking truths. And children, they're resilient. Children are extremely resilient. So we don't give them as much credit as they're due on some things. But there are some kids out there that will have no idea on how to make adult decisions. And in the end, this little 15-year-old girl, spoiler alert, she ends up having to kill a predator, a human predator. And she wasn't ever told that. It was always like, if you have to kill something to eat it, this, that, and the other, you might have to protect yourself. To protect her innocence when times were good. Okay? Do y'all get what I'm saying? Can I get a 5x5 on that, or a thumbs up on something? Are we all happening on the same page here? Okay. So anyway, some of the things that he did not teach her, once all of the survival stuff, the food were gone, he taught her how to, this is a food box in case of emergency is all it had on there. But how she would ration it, how she would find food when it was gone, those were absent in the movie. And I thought, damn, a lot of us take for granted that we're going to be here, we're going to be able to protect our kids. And even though her dad was a survivalist, this, that, and the other, he was separated from this girl at the beginning of the EMP and couldn't get back. And she was with her grandmother. And her grandmother was just like, oh, everything's going to be okay. But, that's one of the things. And so when she ran out of the food that was in the house, and her grandmother had died, and she had to, place her grandmother in the bed and live with the dead corpse. I'm thinking these are mental things that they're going to have to learn along the way, and let's hope that their mental prowess and their mindset is strong enough, because at first she started to shut down because she was by herself, see, and then she kind of came around and she made a little calendar like this canned good is for today and so on and so forth. And she stayed hidden for a very long time. But then the marauders started coming. And she didn't know what to do. And so she ended up trying to get out the house. She did this, that, and the other. Well, now she's outside. She's outside of her structure. She's outside in the wilderness with nothing. She had a Swiss Army knife that her father had given her one year for a birthday present, and it had been in the drawer until she pulled it out to take with her. It was in the dead of winter. She didn't have the proper clothes to go out in the wilderness like she was. And then on the outside wrist, there were wild dogs. There were human predators out there. So she had to go through all that on learn as you go type shit. And then scavenging the food, because although she was given the opportunity to have the canned goods, emergency food, she didn't know how to scavenge for food, so she was just eating berries, whatever she could find, bugs, worms, things like that, which was a great insight for her because she was learning as she went. And then she come across the issue of finding shelter, safe shelter at that. And it showed clips on her like sleeping just out on the ground, nothing covering her but just a little jacket and her little hoodie thing that she had on and stuff. And I thought, damn, this girl, she's like 14, 15 years old. But what if it was a 10-year-old? What if it was a 5-year-old? What if it was a 9-year-old? That had to do these things. And how do you incorporate some of these dangers without scaring the fucking shit out of them? Because when you start breaking it down, and we expect our kids to know everything that we fucking know, but they don't have maturity, the mental maturity to process it properly, nor the cognitive resources to see foresight on situations and dangerous things, and you don't want them to shut down. You want them to get that survivor mode and things like that. And so that was the dilemma for me. Did I do that? See, my children are grown now, but I have my grandchildren, right? And I think, did I instill that, or is that so scary that could actually fucking happen? That I'm hoping for the best and trying to prepare for the worst as far as a child is concerned. That expecting them to know everything that I know is a fallacy. But Dan H. made a very good point on that. We can't teach them how to interpret dangers that they can't see. They're kids. And some of the other stuff that this girl went through was, how long did she have to stay put? Well, she stayed put until the food ran out. But there was already people trying to get into the house before then. She just stayed hidden, so she got pretty lucky on that. And then she come across that boy, and he was trapped in a freezer. A cabinet had fell, and he'd been trapped. He was by himself too. And she let him out, and they teamed up. They made him a mag there. So we got 2 teenagers now. Neither one of them have a firearm. All they have is the Swiss Army knife and stuff. And she told the boy, she said, I remember my dad taking me and showing me a place where he buried some stuff, and there's a gun, in there, and we can use it to protect ourselves if we need to. That was her mindset. And so they start tracking towards that. Well, the marauders, and hey, girlfriend, what's up? Tug, hello. The Widow's Diary, artist and poet. Glad to see you, sister, too. And so they're on their way. They're walking. Neither one of them know how to drive. They've never driven at all. And they come across this farmhouse, and there's an old Barracuda in the garage, right? It's sweet, convertible at that. And I think it was a Cuda. Anyway, uh, he's like, well, let's drive it. She's like, you don't know how to drive. He said, well, neither do you. He said, but look, there's nobody around. Let's learn how to drive. So they learned how to drive that car. They didn't even know how to open the door on the car. They didn't know where to put the gas at in the car, see? And so these are things that I'm like, how often do kids actually get out and put fuel in a car? How do they, if they don't have a driver's license, short of that, we're talking about 14, 15-year-olds and younger. Maybe some adults. There have been some fucking adults that don't even know how to put air in the blinker fluid container. You see what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, just take it to somebody, and they get their ass handed to them on a fucking silver platter when some shit really goes down. But these are little insights that I pulled out of this movie because I thought, damn, I know, they're sweet, ain't they, Dan? I had a friend that had one totally fucking dismantled everything in his house. He loved his Cuda so much, he was rebuilding it and everything was in his fucking house. It was a trip. I was like, all right, whatever. But anyway, so her and that little old boy, they hook up, they start going to find, where the food box is hidden, this, that, and the other. And now we're just like 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the movie, maybe half an hour, like I said. And this little girl has already had to have the burden and burdens of an adult as a child. And she was having to learn as she went. Now, yes, it's going to give them some real tough skin. It's also going to give them some PTSD. So, I mean, it could go either way. She could become tough as nails, or she could become soft and shut down. This is just one of those things. But they were talking about, well, we can go here, we can go, I have an uncle here, I have an uncle there. They didn't even know how to read a map. But the girl remembered that her dad had showed her that this is how you read the map. One time, she just blew it off. And so when they got to where the stash was at, hey, Watchman, what's up, darling? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. She was like, we need to get to this place. Well, they got all turned around, and then the marauders came again, and now they're running, and the marauders end up catching her. And it implied negative interactions with an adult and things like that, but it didn't show anything. It was kind of like I said, a B, C type movie. And there wasn't a whole lot of talking in it, and so they're like, we don't know how to get there, we can't get there. Anyway, the dudes catch them. Well, then the marauders, they got dogs, so they're holding the kids at bay with dogs, and there's all that kind of stuff going on. And at first they come to the kids very friendly. We're here to help. We need people to rebuild civilization. Hey, Tina. How you doing, darling? Hope you're having a blessed day. And so that's how they came to them kids who were already in a desperate state, who did not have the foresight to determine whether it was a safe situation or a negative situation. But because of their desperation, they got close up to them, to where they could get them. And it was really sad, because they ended up, physically hurting the girl and the boy. And so it was really sad that to see that state with these kids. And I'm thinking, okay, man, what if it was a smaller child, like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, that now in this day and age, would my grandchildren be able to survive without any family members? And I have to say, I only know of one that might be able to make it on their own with the skill set and the mindset that I have. But she's older now. She's in her 20s. The others are still learning these things. And I'm thinking about the younger ones. I'm like, damn, as much as I've tried to teach them and show them and communicate to them, there's only so much that I can do without scaring the fucking shit out of them and traumatizing them that way. Y'all see what I'm saying? Put a 1 in the comments if you agree with me on that dilemma. And so this video, or this live that I'm doing with y'all, is to troubleshoot and springboard. How is it that we as a community, because we are a community, y'all, and how can we circumvent that to where it's plausible but it doesn't scare the children, and that they will have this insight, this adult mindset in an adolescent or juvenile. That's a juvenile. Juveniles are from 13 down, and adolescents are 13 to 18. Anyway, so I'm like, damn, this movie, as cheesy as it was, got me to really fucking thinking. I'm like, damn. I hear this a lot in our community, that I'm teaching my kids everything I know. But the one thing this girl had to learn at the end was to know when to leave her shelter. She kept on having flashbacks. It would flashback, and it would affect her mental state of the grandmother, the dad, her being all alone and actually realizing it. And then some type of situation would occur, and she'd snap out of it for a minute and get to the next thing. She didn't know CPR. She didn't know first aid. She didn't know any of that stuff. I'm like, okay, there's a big gap in knowledge right there. Do they know these things? Have you even talked about these things with them? I personally did not. Now, I do know that what I have shared with my grandchildren is that you need certain medical supplies, and you cannot allow anything to get infected. And you have to keep watch on that. Some things, I don't expect them to know how to extract a freedom seed. You know what I'm saying? I don't even expect them to be able to mentally work through the situation that leads them to have to extract a freedom seed. Yeah, I mean, because it fucks with adults as well. I can only imagine what it would be like for a child. And so I go to the minds, I go to think, these kids who are raised up in the inner cities, that where it's gang ridden, they have death as an everyday part of their life. It's just like every week's a funeral. At certain, it is what it is. They've become immune. They've become hardened. They have lost that empathy and that feeling. That it is, they would have them, that child in that situation would have no problem doing what an adult need to do if they had a pew and freedom seeds and they needed to protect themselves. But you take us suburban kids, and even some of these rural children that have never gone hunting and never had the experience to field an animal, or much less take the life or unlive any type of thing that that you can eat like that, and how they go through that, because a lot of people that they freeze, they'll freeze. And so it all goes back to, damn, I want them to know everything that I know, but there's no way that I can give them the knowledge and the perception, and the discernment that I have with my years on this earth compared to theirs. And so this is something that I thought was very important for all of us to even talk about at home, with our friends and our family, nieces, nephews, things like that, just little certain situation. Well, what if this happened? What would you do? Well, what if this happened? What would you do? If this happens, this is what you should do. Now, granted, This is worst case scenario, and you know that's what I'm all about on this channel, worst case fucking scenario. Baby, what's up? Haha! Cigars. But my baby got me these two because we're trying to find these down here and I can't find them. But I got me some cigars. You know I love my cigars, y'all. Y'all know I love those cigars. I can't see the chat right now. I'm sorry. I'm not ignoring any of y'all, but I'm on a roll and stuff. But these are things that I thought, like I said, as we being a community and us all loving each other and caring about each other and being in our, you know, our little extended mag groups and things of that nature is something that should be addressed. You know, but that movie was cheap and you know, fluffy, but it had a lot of good points on there that wasn't said. And so they didn't know how to fish. The boy did, and he caught like a little old perch, but the girl had no idea how to do any of that. Let's see. Another thing is, she had a hard time keeping her mind busy when she was resting. You know, the PTSD and all that stuff, the trauma, the grandmother, the whole experience of no electronics, no cell phone anymore. You know, all that stuff would just eat her. And she knew nothing about building the shelter. She'd just lay down on the ground, or she'd try to find shelter. She didn't know how to, you know, make a fire without, you know, a lighter. I know the rubbing the two sticks together is hard as fucking hell. I am not one to do that. I have not done that because I am a lazy fuck when it comes to that kind of shit. I've got a lighter, I got fire starters, and I got matches. Now, I know that someday, somewhere, if the situation ever occurs, I'll be thinking, damn, you should have learned how to light a fire with two fucking sticks, stupid. You know, but it is what it is. And it's just one of those things that medically, with the wrist and the back, I cannot fucking do it. I'd have better luck with lightning striking a fucking tree and hoping I catch the damn branch when it falls so I can start a fire with the way that my back is. And you know, that's the other shit, you know, that you have to think about too. Because let me tell you, you know, me getting down in my back has really set me back on my bug out shit. My bug out plans and everything. But that's okay. We got a whole new chapter, and I got me a sweetheart, and we're on the same page on everything, so we're good as far as that concerned. But back to the movie, and it's on YouTube again. It's EMP 333 days. But it really gives you a different perspective, and it's not necessarily what they say, because the movie has hardly anybody talking in it. And so these are just things that they show on there on the cinema, you know. The girl, she would just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk until she just couldn't walk no more, and then she'd just lay down where she slept. And then as far as the rationing on the fires, you know, she didn't know why the boy wanted to start a fire. Well, he told her so we could stay warm, you know, and she was like, well, won't we be seen? And, you know, they weren't seen, but they had to have fire to stay warm because it was snowing. Back to that, did they know how to drive? I learned how to drive when I was 9 years old. Anybody in the chat, y'all put down when you first learned how to drive without a driver's license. Without a driver's license, y'all. Put down when you first started driving. I started driving from Odessa, Texas to San Angelo, Texas when I was 9 years old. That's about 100 and 200 miles, something like that. You know, a couple hours to drive. But I would drive the car until we got to the outskirts, you know. Yep, 5 on your grandparents slept. Yep, 11 says the watchman. Yep. Yep. I've taught all, now that is one thing that I can say without a doubt. I've taught all my grandchildren how to drive. I've let them drive. Even my grandson, I'll let him drive, the youngest one, I'll let him drive Jolene. 11. Yeah. I mean, so that, a lot of times we don't see that as a necessary skill, but I think it is, because if they're able to get into a vehicle and drive away from the danger, that's even better, you know. Um, the hygiene, there was no hygiene at all. Um, she didn't think to wash up, to keep her hands clean, to keep her feet dry. She didn't think about any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was 9, but I wasn't alone. It was either my dad was usually on the passenger side sleeping, and I was driving. That's how that usually worked for me. Um, but yeah, she didn't know anything about the hygiene that, you know, it, what water she did come by, she was drinking it, which was to be expected. But 333 days with no inclination on, other than, ooh, I smell, I got to change my shirt. That, you know, that's something that needs to be considered. When do you use water for drinking? When do you use it for hygiene? And her being a young woman, we know that in these 333 days, there were other issues that she was having to deal with, maybe not, get close to it, that come around on a 28-day cycle. What was she to do? They left that part out. So, like I said, it got my mind to thinking. Here's a big moral dilemma. On one scene of the movie, they're in like a grocery store, convenience store, and there's all this stuff on the shelves, and I mean, it hadn't been loaded yet, and they're like, oh, look at all this stuff, look at this, oh, look at this, and look at this, and they found some food, and they're like, well, you think it would be, and they're already like 4 months into this EMP thing, right? Like, you think it would be okay if we ate that food because it's stealing? And see, that mentality that the world has gone to fucking shit, and, you know, rule of law is obsolete. So it's not stealing, and it's not even marauding at that point. It's called, you know, survival, fucking survival. And they sit there, and you can see them going. They pan the camera back and forth, and they would show these kids going through this. Do we take it? Do we not take it? Do we take it? Do we not take it? And at the end, the girl's like, I think it would be okay. And so they did. But they wasted a lot of time going back and forth instead of just saying, oh, look what we found. Let's get changed. Let's get cleaned up. You know, let's eat. Let's, you know, get a bag, a pack. But they didn't even have backpacks. They weren't carrying anything. They didn't have the insight to carry stuff with them. And when they did, it was so fucking heavy, they had to leave it. And as adults, we know this stuff. But these kids, they didn't know it. So I'm like, damn, there's a fucking learning curve there. You know, I'm going to teach them everything I fucking know. Man, it'll take a lifetime. I'm 57 years old. And I'm thinking I got to try and teach a 15-year-old everything that I know. There's a discrepancy there. And I think it all come back to the mindset, the emotional maturity, and the situations, the what if type game. You know, what if this happened? Or even like, you know, you've noticed, and there's a couple of y'all out here that have it too, the doomsday game, the prepper game, you know, where you pull the card and it has all that, you know, what's going on and what would you do type stuff. But that's a really excellent way to kind of start getting these kids into it, to at least plant the seed that, oh, I can go back, we were playing the game and the card said this, that, and the other, and this is what we said. And if the opportunity arises, actually go out and practice that that card or that situation in real life. Okay, we're all dead except for you. What are you gonna do? I mean, it's traumatic just saying that like that, but is it better to do it now Or is it better to wait and see how it works out if the worst case scenario happens? And will the children or your children be able to survive, the shift without rule of law? And so this is where my mind is going at, y'all, because you know as well as I do with all this fucking shit, we don't know from one day to the fucking next what's gonna be on our bingo card. I almost got a fucking blackout. I don't know about y'all, but my bingo card's almost blacked the fuck out. Okay? Just saying. If y'all been playing Apocalypse Bingo, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. But yeah, some of these kids, we take for granted that they'll have the common sense to do that. It's not like that. They've missed a beat somewhere. Like looking for the water. I mean, the back of the toilet tanks, as long as you don't put any chemicals to clean your toilet inside the back, the tank of the toilet, that's drinkable water with some preparation. It didn't even cross their minds to do that, and they're passing all these places and they're dying of thirst. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They didn't know, another thing that they didn't know in the older vehicle was how to turn the radio on. They didn't know how to use like a CB radio because they come across one, but they didn't know how to work it. They didn't even know how to turn it on. And I thought, damn, they would have been able to communicate or do something if they knew these things. The girl, bless her heart, only by the grace of God, her father was able to take her out twice. And she had a rifle that he was teaching her with. And she's like, I got YouTube. I got to go watch Dad. I don't have time to be doing this target stuff. And he was trying to tell her, never go for the head. There's too much bone, and it just jiggles around. And it's a long, agonizing, death if that situation occurs. He says you always want to go for the heart and the lungs, and stuff like that. And she's like, well, what would I need to do any of that kind of stuff for? And then he starts to tell her, well, there's bad people out there. You might have to do this someday. She's like, no, that's never going to happen. And she shut down at that point. But in the end, she learned how to use her knife. She wasn't even holding her knife correctly. They didn't know how to use an axe, but the young boy had to axe one of those. I thought of Mad Shad when I seen that. Had to axe that dude in the back. Axe Saturdays and stuff that we all do. Y'all know what's up. But anyway, he used that. And then when they finally got to where the box was, it had a map to a bug out location that him and all of his friends had been getting together for years, and doing the man thing. They were kind of, whatever, but they were doing the man thing. And so he was trying to teach his daughter a little, and get her interested because she was a girly girl. And found the map. By this time, we're almost at 333 days that she has been out on the road by herself, just going from place to place to place, running from predators, human predators, being caught by human predators, barely escaping, getting hit in the head, falling off a cliff. I mean, anything that could happen to this girl, it pretty much happened. And 333 days it took them to get to where that eventually, to where she felt safe, and that was at that bug out location. So when they got there, the box that her dad had planted had a gun in it. And she's like, I'll use this. Well, it didn't happen that way. They didn't know how to use it. But the sad thing is, right before they got there, y'all gonna have to watch this movie. Like I said, it's fucking cheesy as all get out. But it's got a lot of insights in it that aren't said. One of the marauders catch up to them. Okay, they've lost a vehicle. The marauders catch up to them. The boy, he is shut down because the marauder had gotten a hold of him and had him in the trunk. Root beer, baby. And she got smart on him. She laid something down in the road to make it look like she was sleeping. Devil dog, watchman. I thank you, y'all, for coming in. And she laid something down in the middle of the road, and that marauder, who's a predator, stopped, pulled over, and actually she was in the bushes. It was very smart for her. And she didn't take the car. She took the other pew that was in the car, and she climbed in the back seat. And when he got back in, she had that long gun, that long pew thingy doo-doo, whatever the fuck it was, you know what I'm saying? That long rifle, fuck it, I'm just gonna say it, that long rifle at the back of the seat, and she gave him one forward. And she pushed him out of the vehicle, and he still had the boy in the trunk, and she freed the boy, and she found her way to the bug out location. She gets there. They let her in because they know her father. They let the boy in because he's with her. And towards the end of the movie, and I wrote this down, not all stories have happy endings, but this one did. Her father finally made it there, and it took him a year to get to the bug out location. Even as prepared as he was, shit did not go the way that he planned. And like I said, this really got me to thinking on the moral dilemmas and the burdens of adults put on a child's shoulders. And I thought that us as a community, we learn from each other, and I know that a lot of us are taking care of all these things in real time, but we can never underestimate the shutdown point of a child. You know, they crack a little bit easier than some adults, a lot faster too. There's a few outliers that don't. But yeah, okay, so y'all, that's my go on this movie. It's EMP 333 days. And so what do y'all think? I mean, so now I'm gonna get in here. Years of service to them does nothing. Let's see. Okay, the Watchman says if people are in denial to take advice, it's best just give them the one warning and walk away. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Devil Dog, I figured, I was thinking too that you might have watched it, because I know you like to watch movies and stuff like I do. Yeah, it says, they take your warning, they will likely try to continue dialogue and work with you. That's true. That's true. Because we don't want them shutting down, but we don't want to scare them so much that they're in total denial. And we're playing Barbie and Ken and, you know, fucking la la woo woo shit. But I think that I thought it was a pretty legitimate show, you know. That's what I was thinking. I appreciate y'all coming in here and hanging out with me and stuff. I got my hair down today. I got the earbuds in. Yeah, so what do y'all think? Right off the top of your heads, is there anything that wasn't addressed that if you ever put yourself in your child's shoes or your grandchild's shoes, any way that we can incorporate this stuff without scaring the fucking shit out of them? Because there will come a time that they have to protect themselves. I pray to God that it's not as severe. And that's like hoping for the best. That's that denial shit, because we all know if we're, as adults, are doing the fucking shit that we can do, that we do as adults, uh, if we're not around, can the kids do it too? And that's all that's where my dilemma's at. And I'm gonna pray on that. I'm gonna, see about all that. But like right now, it's just adults in the house here. I'm 1,400 miles away from any of my grandchildren or children, and I haven't seen any children in this neighborhood. And you would hope and you would pray that a good soul, a good, caring, loving, nurturing soul would find and as help the kids before the marauders and the human predators got a hold of them. And like I said, they got up on those kids because they were like, we're trying to get a community together where there's other survivors. We can help you. We can do this. We can do that. And but well, it's on YouTube, Tuck. It's on YouTube. It's a free little movie. It's free. I don't do shit that ain't free, man. It's a free movie. Like I said, it's kind of cheesy, but it had a lot of good insights that were not spoken. And me being the type of person that I am, and I'm very observant on a lot of stuff, I thought, damn, that just totally went right over my fucking head, because some of this stuff that we just talked about here, I didn't even do with my kids until they started getting older. Some things I took for granted, like, you protect yourself, you don't let nobody run over you, no stranger danger, things like that. But some of this other stuff, it was just so oblivious to me as a new fresh pepper. Now my youngest just turned 30 today, so that kind of gives you an idea of how long that my mindset is and what I've been doing as far as being tenfold hat and whatever the fuck. But anyway. Yep. And I know that God will take care of it. And, and sometimes we talk about, like, the blast zone being right underneath it. Sometimes that'll be better. I've heard people say that initial blast, so you're just vaporized right then and there. It seems really cool and terrible, because I have the survivor mentality and mindset that I'll get out there from the blast zone somehow. But that's naive to think that that's going to be the case for me or anybody else. Especially like if you get an injury, fuck, what's going to happen? Do they know how to set a bone? Yeah, self-defense is cool. Self-defense, that karate, and I'm real big on hand to hand. You got to know how to open up a can of fucking whoop ass real quick. I used to tell people, I'll stomp a mud hole in your motherfucking ass and walk a dry bitch. But I've settled down because of my back. See, I can't back that shit up. I have to pick something up now. I love y'all. Y'all put up with my shit. I love y'all. I'm trolling my own fucking shit. See, Watchmen, that's where we can't put ourselves in the tribulation, because it's either the tribulation or it's not. But the word tells us we will know, and we know that. I think that no matter what it may look like, it is the obvious. It is what it is. There ain't no, I personally, and I love whenever you talk like this, Watchman, because it brings up a lot of good insights for people who are not followers of the Word of God. Okay? That will come across and say, well, they're doing this on purpose to try and make it happen. You can't make God do nothing that he don't want to do. That's one of them, human fallacies uh, that people that they put forth. But I think that's exactly where we're at, and we're having birth pains, and it's not as bad as it's going to be. I know that because the word tells me that. But I do know that in the end, as long as I keep the straight path and do what's right, and follow the word, and know that ultimately, and walk by faith and not by sight, that I will receive the promises that were given to me through Jesus, to the Father. And that's just me. And I know everybody's different, but I still pray for everybody, because I tell you what, I was a wretch, an absolute wretch. And yes, just because it's a church doesn't mean it's a house of God. Just because it says church and it has a cross on the front of it does not mean that it's a house of God. Just because someone says that they're a Christian does not mean that they follow Jesus Christ. I know that. There's false prophets everywhere. It's real simple. That's what I tell people. It's real simple. It's not the end of the world. It's actually the beginning of your life. Is that it's simple. It's just 10 little rules to go by. That's it. I fall short daily. I am a sinner. I know that already. And I do my very best not to add iniquities that I will have to answer for and burn in the lake of fire. You know what I'm saying? But it was the beginning of life for me. And I'm like the gingerbread man. You know what? They can show me whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. But I know when my Lord and Savior comes, every knee will bow, every head will bow, and His presence will be known. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And there's your day of judgment, right then and there. And whether I make it or not, because man has planned and the enemy has deceived humankind for millennia on his playground, which is earth, even he will bow, and everything will shake, rattle, and roll. This is not nothing. But I'm cool with that, because I know where I'm going. You know what come up, what may, I give it over to God. You know what, I cannot impede God's will. That's what I tell people a lot of times. Be careful what you pray for, because you ask, God's will be done. Are you able to follow through with that? Because you will do action. You'll have to complete some action and stuff. And you'll find yourself in situations where God's will is being done, but that's not what you had in mind. Just saying. So, I mean, yeah, Watchman, you're, I like it. I know. All we can do is plant the mustard seed. After the mustard seed is planted and we proclaim and we witness and testify, that's all that we can do, because I have learned the hard way. I do not throw my pearls before swine whatsoever. Keep on stepping. I do not have any gaps or holes for the enemy to infiltrate into my spiritual life or my physical life, because they will do that. They will wreak havoc on you. So yeah, I mean, we had never really talked about this, but it goes back to, we can put it all the way back to the movie that we just talked about, the moral dilemmas, even down to the microorganism, of, do we think we should take the shirt or the water and the food? Is it stealing? That back and forth kind of stuff. It can go all the way back to that, on those moral dilemmas, but that's been my understanding. And God speaks to people in different ways, in their own way, and I believe that He speaks to us all the time. It's whether or not we just listen to Him. Like I said, I fall short every day, every single day. But I appreciate y'all. I'm glad you stopped in. Thank you for the wonderful conversation. in the comments. Y'all are really great people. Like I said, I appreciate you. But I wanted to share that with y'all, you know, because that's where my mind be going and stuff. Now, do not forget tonight. There's a ladies panel on All Americans channel. Little Miss Prepper is having a ladies channel, and it's all things about. It's pretty much the mindset of female preppers, homesteaders, and survivalists. You know, because us chicks, we think a little bit different than you dudes do. You know, it's true. Don't lie. Y'all complain about us all the fucking time. It's not like we don't know. But that's okay. We love you anyway. That's what makes the world go round, baby. But yeah, so anyway, Victoria, I hope you will be there. Yep. Widow's Diary, I hope y'all be there. But anyway, I'm going to cut this short, y'all. Well, it's not really short. I've been on here 50 minutes already. But if you didn't watch it, go back and watch the replay, especially if you have children, young children under the age of 18. Go back and watch it. Do not get all scared. Don't get all panicky. Don't get all like, oh, shit. Just take it in for what it is. Look for holes of where your preparedness is at and adjust accordingly. And everything's going to be okay. But, you know, when we don't talk about these things and they pop up on us, that's when we get our ass handed to us on a silver platter, and we got to have on-the-job training. And the shit on the job training, shit hitting the fan on the job training is not the kind of training that I want for my kids, my grandchildren, or I don't have any great-grandchildren yet. Fuck, I don't think I do as a great-grandma. I'd be fucking wild. But anyhow, I love y'all. Hey, All American, thank you, I appreciate it. And I will catch y'all tonight on All Americans channel with Little Miss Prepper and the whole gang. And y'all keep on prepping, okay? Talk about this stuff. Make it a plan. For real. Love y'all. Ciao. Gotta get the fucking thing to turn on.